Welcome back to the Morning Show right on the Rise News channel. And with political realignments gathering pace ahead of the 2027 general elections, the ruling All Progressive Congress is projecting confidence about retaining its electoral dominance, particularly in the northern part of Nigeria. The party's national chairman has expressed optimism that the APC will inherit estimated 12 million votes associated with former President Muhammadu Buhari's political base, even as President Tinubu is expected to retain a Muslim presidential ticket that secured victory in 2023. However, recent political developments have raised questions whether the support remains intact amidst reports of growing discontent in parts of the north. Social Democratic Party presidential candidate Adewale Adebayo joins us to assess the political implication of APC strategy ahead of 2027. He would examine whether the Muslim ticket remains an electoral advantage and whether the party can realistically count on President Buhari's legacy and voting bloc, and how the shifting political alliances and voter sentiment in the north could shape the next presidential election. Great to have you, sir. So for the advocates of Muslim tickets...
Good morning.
Good to see you again, sir, and good to talk to you, sir. So for the advocates of Muslim tickets...
God bless Nigeria.
Do you think the advocates of Muslim ticket will support a Christian ticket, or an Isheshe ticket, or an Oshugbo ticket, or an Ifa ticket, or an Igbe ticket, or an Agbasa Juju ticket?
Well, let me say this. There is nothing like a Muslim ticket. Even when the contraption was brought up 4 years ago, and I was in Kano, and I was asked the same question. I was then mingling with the ulamas, and I let them know that if you are hoping for a Muslim ticket in President Tinubu and Vice President Shetima, you will be lucky to even have a single Muslim out of the two. And it turned out now that it's not a Muslim ticket. From the point of view of Muslims in Nigeria, it's a 0-0 ticket. Because in Islam, what is expected in Islamic jurisprudence, what is expected of a leader is not the religion of that leader, is justice. The reason why Muslims get involved in politics is to have a just society. And there are guidelines in Islamic jurisprudence regarding politics. In Islam, it is expected that if you are a good Muslim, you will not give public office or responsibility to anyone who is not fit for that. So you look among yourselves for the most suitable person, most competent person. Second, you don't give power based on favoritism or bias. And three, you don't give power based on expectation of reward. So the whole concept from the beginning was just to defraud the populace by using religious sentiment. What all Nigerians are looking for is a righteous leader, no matter that person's religion. Because the fruits of righteousness will make the people of that country to rejoice. So when you say you are a Muslim ticket, and there's no justice anywhere, even one of the proponents and advocates of Muslim ticket who was celebrating it, Nasir El-Rufai, is now, he and his family are now crying for justice. That is the biggest irony you can have. And nobody was more of a supporter of Muslim ticket celebrating it after the victory than El-Rufai. Now he can't get justice under his so-called Muslim ticket. So I don't think that Nigerians are interested in that at all. And the government is just flailing around, the APC just looking for what to say. There is no support for a Muslim ticket anywhere. Two, even if people were looking for Muslims in authority, this president and the vice don't symbolize that. They symbolize the opposite. They're actually what the prophet and all the leaders of Islam warn Muslims against. This kind of leadership, where there's no justice, where there's no truth, where there's no honesty, where there's no kindness, no charity. So I don't think that sheep can come and rob the people one more time. It doesn't make any sense.
Mr. Adebayo, good to have you on the program. Well, you were once quoted as saying that there are
Thank you, Dr. Bati.
Yes, that there are too many abominations in the Tinubu administration. What are those abominations that you are talking about? Because that's a very strong word. And then if you can just draw attention to that quickly, and then you tell us what you mean by Adebayo is coming, because you'll be campaigning that Adebayo is on his way. So what are you bringing? What are you coming with? Those two quick questions.
Thank you. There are five abominations. There is a constitutional abomination, which is that the president looks at the Constitution with contempt. Whatever the Constitution says he should do, he will not do. Whatever they say he should not do, he does. One, when it comes to the issue of following the law, Section 162 of the Constitution regarding federation account, regarding appropriation, regarding the sanctity of budgets, that's why in budgeting, if you want to deviate, you come back and do supplementary or you amend the appropriation. They don't do any of that. They don't follow appropriation. That's a serious abomination. Second abomination is the anti-democratic abomination, where you undermine the opposition, you squeeze the public space, you limit people's options, you pass and encourage terrible electoral act, which is just for your advantage. The third abomination is in the sector of justice. As head of state, you are not uniting the country. You are not just in your appointments. You are not just in your preferment. You are not just in your expenditure. So you neglect the people. You neglect most parts of the country. You create tension among populations. That's the third abomination. The fourth abomination is the abomination of incompetence, where the government is at sea. They don't even know how many agencies they have. They are not able to control the functioning of government. And there are many things that you would not have seen before elsewhere, where a supposed head of an agency that is supposed to exist or not exist is on TV on a daily basis, occupying government office, taking photographs with government people, putting money inside the budget, and doing all sorts of things. And at the end of the day, having a running battle, we haven't had that since we had Joseph Tucker and Godwin Dabo. We have not had this kind of scandal before. It's been a long time where you Dabo me and Tucker you. And that's what we're having now, is running and running. And the final abomination is the inability of the president to give basic accountability. And all his people, what do they do? They just go around concocting figures, and nothing they say is correct anymore. For example, how can you say you have inherited 12 million Buhari voters when even in the last election with Buhari in government, you could not scrape together more than 8 million votes, most of which were bought and stolen. So where do you get that? Even in Buhari's second term in 2019, the election was not as clean. Buhari's 12 million votes disappeared because Buhari mightily disappointed the people. And in any case, where are the voters? And you, in your primary, you said you got 11 million voters, and now it turned out that they are all option A fraud, and that these numbers don't exist. Those are the abominations that the government is committing, and there are many more they are committing that the Nigerian public don't know, but I want to limit the abomination to those ones that are well proven. I don't have to scratch my head to look for them or to give evidence, because the evidence is in the public domain. And as for Adebayo is coming, I think it's a section of our followers or supporters from Kano who like to use that slogan. Our own slogan is farewell to poverty and insecurity. But what we are bringing is basically also 5 points. One, we want to secure the country by making sure that we recruit Nigerians to the armed forces and security agencies and ensure that lives and property can be safe, and that the kind of scenario you witnessed in the last 2 years where people are kidnapped for a long time, and you saw how Nigerians rejoiced with the government, despite our differences, when the armed forces went the law enforcement went and rescued the children and teachers at Orire. That should be a routine thing that a DPO should be able to do on his own in our own kind of government. When you go anywhere in Nigeria to kidnap anybody, you know you won't last 48 hours, you will be caught. Second is to ensure that the economy works for the people. Clean budget that Nigerians can say, this budget is put there by my representative based on National Development Plan, based on something that I believe in, and I know what I'm expecting from this budget, and the budget is implemented to the T. Not like what they are doing now, where they have 3 budgets consolidated into one, and they're not implementing any of them. And they don't release the money, and the money disappears. The third thing we need to do is to make sure that we give employment to our people, that we reduce unemployment to lower single digit. Well, we can do that in 18 months by making sure we implement the budget, we enforce fundamental rights of Nigerians, and we look at the social and economic rights contained in Chapter 2 of the Constitution, and we budget accordingly to that, and we spend money on works and social programs. The third thing we're going to ensure is to ensure that across the country we are fair, we are reasonable, we are fair-minded to all Nigerians. As a head of state, no part of Nigeria will feel alienated. Any part of Nigeria, every part of Nigeria will feel like our own man is in the State House, and this is our president. There is no favoritism, no ethnicity, none of those acts of injustice.
Okay.
Fourthly, that we ensure that the democratic space is well open.
Okay.
That rule of law works, that the police are divorced from the government. In our own time, maybe I will meet the IG of police maybe once a quarter if his job requires me to meet with me.
Okay.
But otherwise, the police will be independent, like it's done in most parts of the world. You won't have the police and the government, or law enforcement and government working together. Lastly, what we will have is involvement of the youth, especially to make sure that majority, because the democracy as a government majority are youth, that will carry the youth into government, and new industries and new innovations are brought into the country. That's basically what we are trying to do.
Okay, thank you so much for highlighting your plans for Nigerians if you were voted in as president. But I'd like to take you back to the comment you made around the Muslim ticket, where you almost sounded it's a simple matter that Nigerians don't care too much about that. And so there are a number of scholarly articles, commentaries, expert opinions on this, and they've talked about how religion does in fact shape the voting patterns of Nigeria, especially if you look at places like the north and even some parts of the south. It is a big factor. How would Nigerians trust you to truly manage the nation as president if you do not demonstrate an understanding of what is important to the people? So I'd like to understand how you arrived at the fact that Nigerians don't care too much about religion. That's one. The second thing I'd like to ask you is, your experience has been in the opposition.
Thank you, Ayo.
Sorry, 1 second, so you can answer both together. Has been in the opposition. We've heard from other opposition members, candidates, presidential candidates, where they feel targeted, they feel like they are being restrained or almost sabotaged by the ruling party. Is this your experience as well? Can you please tell us?
Okay, let me start with the latter one. We are the most sabotaged of our political parties. We are on our 3rd missionary journey to the Supreme Court now. So in every election, they don't allow us to nominate candidates. I think it's as if, and we know that there is almost a standing instruction in INEC that if anything comes from the SDP, just sabotage them. So there is nothing. And I will give you 3 clear examples. I don't like crying foul because I know the game is rough. It's like a chef coming back home and telling the wife that, oh, the kitchen is too hot, I don't know what to do. You can't have a career as a chef if you worry about the heat of the kitchen. So some of the things that they do, we're able to match them because we know the costs are there. We know our people, we know how to maintain discipline in the party. We know that they use bribery and influence. We know that it takes 2 to tango in that area if you can keep your people disciplined. But there are areas where it's too obvious. For example, in Ekiti State, they put our candidates on the ballot 11:48 p.m. on the eve of the election. And they did not upload a single one of our candidates, even though they had given us the code. They made sure the code did not work. Even for my own nomination, they gave us the code on the 26th of April to load on the 27th of June, sorry. They gave us the code on the 26th of June. The code did not work until the 8th of July. So this, before I could get uploaded on the 9th of July. So this is the problem they are causing. Sure, now, they've not uploaded our candidate, and there are so many other things. And when we organize a NEC meeting, the government will go and organize a fake one somewhere, and all sorts of things. So this sabotage goes on. The difference maybe between us and our fellow sufferers in the opposition is that we tend to minimize the involvement of our people in-house, because no matter how much the government wants to sabotage you, they need collaborators within your system. So the collaborators they can get within our system are no more than 1 or 2 people, and we've expelled them. So they keep bringing them back, we keep expelling them again. So I think we will be able to survive, but the government is not helping the opposition, and we have had to take INEC to court on almost every front. If we just do a Google search, SDP versus INEC, we'll see how many cases come up. We're able to use the rule of law to survive the political problems, and we also try to behave well in public so that they don't take advantage of our own personal misbehavior to embarrass us. So we try our best in that regard. Well, with respect to Muslim ticket, well, the researchers are entitled to do their own research, but history has shown that it's not a major issue in Nigeria, because even for my party especially, when they were talking about Muslim ticket last time, why the SDP was not involved in the discussion about it was that in 1993, we introduced Muslim ticket. MK Abiola and Babagana Kingibe, they were both Muslims. But because we had introduced them well to the country, people don't look at them from the religious prism only, because a human being is a multidimensional person. So you have your religion, you also have your social life, you have your economic life, you have your general professional life. So people can look at you from a well-rounded picture. I'm a Christian, but most of the people who deal with me, they don't take that into consideration. They take into consideration my nationalism, my patriotism, my honesty, my consistency, and my general fairness in dealing, and the quality of leadership. So you cannot isolate, you cannot eliminate religion, but it cannot be a dominant factor in a country reeling in poverty, insecurity, and the general common experiences. So if we are not united by well-organized, unifying leadership, at least we should be unified and united by our problems. We have common problems of insecurity, whether you're a Christian or Muslim. Serious problem of poverty, whether you're a Christian, Muslim, or Ishashe, or another religions which Rufai cataloged earlier in this discussion. You can be united by the fact that you pay the same school fees, whether you're a Christian or Muslim, and the government is giving you loans instead of investing in the schools. Those who were captured, kidnapped, maltreated in Orire, if you listen to their names, you will see Christians there, you will see Muslims there. So on what basis, therefore, will you go to your religion as a basis for your political decision? I think the kitchen table issues, the survivor issues, the justice issues, all of those things unite us. And that is my experience as a presidential candidate, that people don't interrogate me based on my religion. But certain politicians, if they do the calculation and they realize that religion could be used as a sentiment, as a factor, they can emphasize that. Okay. But we tend to go around to emphasize other things that are more relevant to governance. Okay. Because now, like I said in Kano and Kaduna 4 years ago, I said, relax, don't worry yourself. If this Muslim ticket go into the villa, that will be the last time anybody will talk about Muslim ticket, because they will find out that neither of them is a Muslim from the parameter of governance. All right. You see that this is not the handwork of Muslims in government, because you cannot be a good Muslim scholar, a good student of Islamic justice, and look at President Tinubu's government, and if they don't mention his name and religion, and they show you the scorecard, you can never say, Mr. Adewale,
thank you so much. I believe you've established the crux of the matter and the topic of discussion here this morning, and we're most grateful for your time with us here on The Morning Show.